Hello and welcome to this episode of the Magnetic Woman Show. I'm your host, Lauren Joyce, and I am so excited today to be joined by Tasha Christy, who is an intuitive copywriter and disruptive messaging expert. And I'm so excited that she's here on the podcast, not only because she's one of the incredible experts as part of the Embodied Feminine Leadership Revolution, but because the work that she does in the world is so important, especially right now. So, Tasha, I'd love if you could just give the audience a little bit more about who you are and how you got to be an intuitive copywriter and maybe what is a disruptive messaging expert for those who might not know.
Okay. Well, how I became, well, copyright, that's a long story. But to summarize it, I started out in the industry almost 10 years ago,
Okay.
as a career coach. And so I just started doing that because I was a speech pathologist before. And so when I became a coach, initially, that's what I was doing. I was career coaching for other SLPs. And then I decided I wanted to have a bigger impact.
Yeah.
And I went to become a life coach. I went to a life coaching and leadership certification program, and I completed that. Then it kind of morphed into embodiment coaching, and then it was embodied marketing because I realized that I like working with entrepreneurs. I always seem to come back to entrepreneurs. And around maybe 2020, I started like my writing started to get noticed. And so people started coming to me and saying, well, do you write copy for people? Like I know you do energetic marketing. And then back then I was doing human design too.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
And so they were coming to me for human design, related marketing stuff, right? And then they were like, well, do you write copy? And so that's when I started writing copy. And the copywriting clients just come, even to this day, like out of the blue and just without me really having to market it much.
Amazing.
Um, and so that's kind of how I got into copywriting. And then maybe 2022, I decided to narrow down my focus to just copy, written
Okay.
content,
Mhm.
messaging that helps you write copy,
Yeah.
that converts, like that kind of thing. The disruptive messaging came about from me noticing that in the spiritual space, there's a dichotomy. Like either people want to be political or they want to market their business. It's very rare that you see people coming to bringing infusing both of it,
Yeah.
like and actually being political and being profitable. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to help specifically leftists, left leaning, liberal, progressive, spiritual entrepreneurs, especially women and
Yeah.
black, indigenous people of color, to really be able to make as much money as the MAGA people. I mean, let's just be frank.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because
Totally.
the MAGA people, you would think they wouldn't be making a lot of money, but some of the wealthiest coaches in the industry are outwardly MAGA.
I know.
And I just, I'm just like, why? We need to make more of the
Ugh,
money.
you're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the,
Right.
and I love that. And I think, I've given this a lot of thought, of course, because I've been in the industry for, at this point, 10 years, over 10 years.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a lot of the really big coaches who are MAGA or who are very right-leaning. I think a lot of them got really big before
Hmm.
we, how do I say this? Like before it became more common to share your political views
Hmm. For
and
sure.
ideologies and quite frankly your morals. I mean, this goes so
Hmm.
far beyond politics.
Right.
And so I think that there's like that occurred.
Hmm.
And then of course, and I've talked about this as well, like personal and spiritual development unfortunately lends itself to the alt-right pipeline, right?
Right.
There's like so many ways that the alt-right pipeline can hooks into like
Mm-hmm.
divine feminine, the wellness
Mm-hmm.
space, spiritual
Mm-hmm.
new age spirituality.
Right.
And I mean, at this point, often it's not even a pipeline. It's just like one step over.
Right.
It's like one video and you're back in a mega church. I'm like,
Right.
how people? So I love that that's the work that you do because one thing I'm so passionate about is I truly believe that it's women leaders who are embodied, spiritually grounded,
Mm-hmm.
and quite frankly, left leaning that
Right.
are going to save the world. Like, and we need the money, the resources, the the groundedness in ourselves and in our bodies to do
Mm-hmm.
that work. So I love that you are this channel and gateway for women to be paid for the work that they're here to do and for their mission.
Right.
Like that's so critical, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what do you find to be one of the biggest challenges for spiritual women or, women doing personal and spiritual development and trying to bring their politics into it or their perspective? Like what tends to be some of
It's
the
a
biggest?
couple of things. Like, first of all, a lot of people are afraid to say the wrong thing,
Mm,
quote unquote, to be misunderstood,
mhm.
to be canceled, which is really not a thing. Like, I was like, you know how many coaches have, so say, been canceled, and they made more money after they were canceled
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
before, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and I think there's also this misnomer that the the MAGA people have more money. You know what I'm saying? So if you come out as outwardly woke or left leaning, you're going to alienate the people, the other people who may have the money. Like, I've actually seen people intentionally, I don't know if it was pretending to be right leaning or like at least giving space to
Yeah.
people, who were
Yeah.
on that side of the aisle,
Yeah.
and them doing that because they feel like, okay, well, they're the ones who have more money. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to, even though this doesn't align with my political views, I'm not going to alienate them. So
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of be neutral and stand back and let everybody say what they want to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a challenge too. Is like, can I actually be as political as I want to be and attract the people who can afford to pay me for
Yeah.
the work that I do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's such a good point. And I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. I think that there are people needed all along the
Yeah.
spectrum in the sense that there are some people, not that they stay neutral, but they are more of that bridge of
Yeah.
like, okay, I disagree with you politically, and you're kind of like waking up to what's occurring and maybe you're starting to step out of it and like as you start to step out of it the space that I've created is safe for you and then there
Hmm.
are people which I would say I'm farther down the line where I'm like no like if you're
Yeah.
stepping out of
I can't
it
do it
like I'm
either.
still not a safe space for you you know
Yeah. I
what I mean like
can't.
and I say that because I am so strict and conscious of the energy that I create in containers and I want all of the women who are in there to feel safe. And yeah, that's just, not my space. So I
Hmm.
think that there gets to be different like doorways
Right.
along the way.
Hmm.
And it is really challenging to it can be really scary to start to bring your politics, your perspective of the world outside of the work that you do
Hmm.
into your messaging and marketing
Hmm.
because I think we as women also have this like cellular fear that our full expression is dangerous, right?
Hmm.
Because we've seen this across the board for thousands of years that in the past it was in fact dangerous for
Right.
women to be fully expressed. So
Hmm.
you're coming up against a lot. And I love that you help these women, help your clients and women in your community to take what they believe and tangibly put it into marketing. Because I think so many people start in this work not because they're a marketer, right? Because they have a
Hmm.
passion for the work that they do. So that can be such a stumbling block of like,
Mm,
how do you take your essence, your transmission, and put it into words and make it tangible for people?
right. Yeah. So that they want to buy it, you know.
Yes.
So that like that's something that I really enjoy doing
Yeah.
because I feel like the more people understand what it means and the impact of it, the more than that they're gonna buy and the more they're gonna be impacted, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. And I think,
Yeah.
I think we can talk about impact all day long, and we have to be very um grounded in the 3D, right? For lack of a better explanation, that impact does equal what you're being paid. Like the more
Right.
you're being paid, the more you're
The more
impact.
impact you're making. Exactly.
And so I th do you find that a lot of women who you work with and a lot of women who are trying to bring more quote unquote disruptive messaging into their work, that
Mhm.
they still struggle with just being paid for their work?
Yeah, I feel like they struggle for just being paid for a couple of reasons. Because a lot of people are anti-capitalist, which I understand. I get. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm more of a like conscious capitalism,
Oh,
free market kind of thing,
yeah,
more so. But there are people who are anti, like they literally just don't want to have anything to do with capitalism. They think it's evil, etc. And
yeah,
I'm like, I get that. But this is a system that we're living
yeah,
in right now. So you have to find a way to be okay with the fact that you're making money
yeah,
underneath this system for the time being. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? And I
yes.
feel like that's a major issue because a lot of left leaning people, I had a client that I worked with, maybe it was right before the election,
Okay.
2024. And we had a whole conversation about that. She was afraid to come out talking about the things that she wanted to talk about because of that. She was like, I don't want to attract all the broke people, all the
Yes.
anti-capitalist people, all the people who just,
Yes.
just don't,
Yes.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a big concern is like, is me making money off of this? Is me profiting off of this okay?
Yeah.
Like, is this in alignment with my political views?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I love that you use the term conscious capitalism because I think that affords people the ability to say, I see all of the harm that this system does and
Right.
continues to do in its current iteration. And I in order for me to do this work, I have to be well funded because I do have bills to pay. I do have rent to pay. I do,
Right.
and I can choose to make money and use it in a different way, right? Like,
Hmm.
and I think this is something I think a lot of women struggle with that. Like this fear of if I start making a lot of money, if I'm wealthy, if I'm rich, if I'm whatever label you want to add to it, I'm going to become this like evil, awful person because we see so many evil, awful people with money. And it's like, there is no woman that I know
Hmm.
who, if I was like, you have unlimited power and wealth, what are you going to do? They're like setting up some kind of trafficking island. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like
Like,
setting up dog
I don't know
sanctuaries.
any men, any women that would do that. Like,
Exactly.
and for what? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
So I think that
So,
there's such a power in the reclamation of I am consciously participating in capitalism in a way that is making an impact in
hmm.
the way that I can make an impact. So both the work that I'm putting out into the world, but then also the money I'm receiving and how I'm distributing that within my community, within, you know, employees if I have employees, within family, whatever that looks like. So I love that term conscious capitalism. I think that that is such a beautiful space that we can exist in right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when you um bring more disruptive marketing to your clients and their work in the world, what are the positive benefits that happen? Like, what are the benefits that you see happening? Because, of course, as we said, there's a lot of fear of if I do
Hmm.
this, I'm not going to make money, I'm going to attract the wrong people, blah, blah. What actually happens?
What actually has been happening is that they have been able to reach a wider audience beyond the coaching industry because
Hmm.
the stuff that they're talking about is relevant. It's relevant to the world itself, right? So
Yeah.
like these people are seeing them saying these things and they're gravitating towards them. They're getting, podcast interview invitations. They're, even I've had one of my clients even was able to get on a podcast with like a million like followers,
Oh,
downloads, whatever, like big name podcasts, not like, I'm not saying anything brand like small podcasts, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
But like
yeah.
a
No, I mean,
big,
with a
big,
huge
like,
reach, that's amazing.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like their reach increases, they're going viral, like stuff
Oh,
like that. They're selling out their most sacred offers.
oh,
Um, and to having their biggest cash months, like stuff like that, while still being political, while still saying all the things,
yeah,
while still selling their work. Because
yeah,
the thing is, you have to infuse your values into
yeah.
your work. Like, how does it relate to what you help your clients do? You know what I'm saying? And so that's the messaging framework that I usually help them to create. So it's not it adds depth to their overall brand messaging rather than distracting from it. Because that's another thing I see. It's like people posting about politics and then they don't post about their offers for weeks. You know what I'm saying? And they're not making money.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I, it's so important. And I think more and more, and I think this is just going to continue. People, by and large, want to spend money in places and with people that they feel their politics, and again, I'm gonna take it further,
It's
their
morals.
morals align with,
Right.
right? Like I know personally, well, years ago I made the decision to not give money to men if I could avoid it, right? Like I was like, why are we assuming that men are the ultimate expert in anything? Like if I can, I'm going to choose to give my time, attention, and money to a woman in a
Mm-hmm.
comfort, in the same field or whatever. Um, and as we've gone on, especially since the election, we can see this play out on a large scale with big companies, but also personally, I constantly unfollow, block, and like
Mm-hmm.
mental list of like, oh,
Right.
okay, so now you're somebody I will never buy from.
Right.
Okay, like for two reasons. One, morally we don't align and I don't want to be giving like spending dollars with you. And two, I'm not going to align with most of the people in this space either. Because
Right.
if you're allowing for the hatred, the bigotry, the misogyny, the racism, if you're allowing for that, if you're approving of that, the people in your space feel safe bringing
Mm-hmm.
that to that space. Like I don't even want to be in that space. So I think, we're going to see this more and more and more that
Right.
it's people are like, yes, I understand that's what you do, but who are you and what do you stand for?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
I find that the work that you do is critical right now because it's just like we're not going back. I don't think no matter what,
Mm-mm. I
there's
don't think
no
so
way.
either. I think this is it's too much. It's
Yeah.
been too long. It's too far gone. I
Yeah.
think even before the election, which was super polarizing, I
Right.
think there was already since 2020, really.
Yes.
Like there's already been kind of like this tide towards it being more conscious and
Yes.
being more just socially relevant, you know? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
And
so
I think that has a lot to do also with, I always say we're in a trust recession, kind of gone are the days where people can just, I say dress up poop, and make it look like gold. It's just people don't want that anymore. They want to know what they're getting. They want results. They want to see receipts, that kind of thing. So I think it's all aligning with the coaching industry being held to a higher standard.
which is amazing and great.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree that we're in a trust recession within this space. And I think that that is going to continue, especially with the rise of AI
Hmm.
and how it's easier than ever to get information. It's easier than
Right.
ever to get like I could go on to ChatGPT or any AI thing and be like,
Hmm.
help me come up with a marketing strategy. And I've done it, right? And there was a moment, like, I don't know, it was maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I was like on ChatGPT asking it for some kind of like strategy or structure for something. And I was like,
Hmm.
wait, why am I asking this compute? Like, I have been running a business for long enough.
Right.
Know what to do. And time and time and time again, what works best for me is when I listen to myself. And speaking of human
Hmm.
design, I'm a splenic manifester. Okay. So
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
like
you
getting
the
my
splenic
strategies
it.
from ChatGPT.
Yeah. No, you don't need that. No. Mm-mm.
So
Because you get in the moment intuitive hits and they're
yes,
on point. And
yes,
more importantly, if you don't act on them within a timely manner, they're gone.
exactly. And so I was like, wait, what am I doing? But so it's easier than ever to get information.
Hmm.
And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to host this event as well, because it is the embodied feminine leadership revolution, where yes, we could sit here all day and like talk about whatever. And all of the women, including yourself, who are part of this event,
Hmm.
embody the work that they do. They're actually walking the walk and talking the talk in their personal life, in their professional life. And again, I think it's more and more relevant, required, necessary for us to do that. But again, I know, especially with the work that you do, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of trepidation. There's a lot of like, well, let me just like this is really what I want to say, but let me like water it down a little bit so that
Hmm.
I am not hated or judged or criticized or shamed or canceled
Right.
or
Exactly.
whatever. So I'm
Hmm.
curious, like for that fear, or not the fear, I would say that maybe knee-jerk reaction to start to water yourself down a little bit. Well, what would you say? Well, what would be the alternative for women? Or like, what's one thing that you can kind of help them move past that knee-jerk reaction?
Well, one of the things I have done with clients in the past is to help them to to pinpoint what is the biggest fear. Like worst case scenario, you say
Yeah,
this thing exactly the way it comes to you. You don't edit it, nothing. You just put it out there, right? And what's the worst thing that can happen?
yeah.
So then they tell me, oh, well, da, da, da. A lot of the times it sounds ridiculous
Oh
when they
yeah,
say it. Because
yeah,
I'm like, well, do you really like is
yeah,
this
yeah,
real? Like, do
yeah,
you really think this is gonna happen? Okay, so is this is the worst case scenario. Say this happens. What are you gonna do about it? What's the solution?
yeah.
And so working, like having them come up with a solution to this problem that they is not going to happen, but they think it's going to happen,
Mm,
oftentimes shows them that even if worst case scenario, you lose 10,000 followers, whatever,
yeah,
you can overcome this and you can move on. I think helps them to like that in and themselves does something to the brain to
yeah,
where it shows them like I can survive this, like I'm okay.
yeah.
That in and of itself. And then I always say, write your copy like you're talking to your best friend who you know is gonna love you no matter what. She
Mm,
may be like, girl, are you serious? but
Right.
she's not going to stop loving you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so it's in that space, from that space, that then you can write copy and content that is really authentic. Like you're actually saying what you want to say,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I don't think you ever get to a point where you're not nervous sometimes. Like I posted something the other day and that I was nervous about it. I was like, oh Lord, like people are gonna call me ableist and all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I posted it anyway.
Yeah. That's such a good point. I think that women, like the women that I work with, I'm assuming probably similar for women in your space, we have a bit of like a perfectionist overachiever
Yes.
tendency. And so there can be, with that overachiever tendency, I find there's this unconscious belief of arriving. I will, if I just do enough work on this, then I'll never be afraid to post anything ever again, right? So
Right. And
then
it's
when they're still afraid, it's like, oh, I haven't done enough
I
work
haven't done
on
enough
it.
work. No,
I'm
you're
still
never
working.
going to get to the point. You're never going to get to the point where there's just no fear whatsoever. You
Yeah.
know, you're because if you're constantly kind of pushing your limit and pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, because that's what we got to do, because we that's how growth happens.
Yep.
There's gonna be fear that comes up. Like the other day, I posted about that incident where the guy with uh Tourette's, shouted out the N word
Oh, okay.
to those actors, and so I said, I mean, it's not unheard of for a white person with a disability to be racist. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
could he could have Tourette's and he does, that could be an issue, but he could also have some biases. Like that's not unheard of. You know what I'm saying?
Just
And I
stupid.
was afraid to post because I was like, oh Lord, people are gonna be calling me, saying all kinds of stuff about, I understand. I'm neurodivergent too. I get it. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? But I
totally.
mean, like this also could be an issue.
Yes. Yeah. You're like, two things can be true at
Right.
once.
Right.
Just because this person is disabled or this person has anything else does not mean that
But
they
they can't, right,
can't be racist, that they can't be misogynistic, that they can't um, you
be
know,
problematic in
be
some way.
problematic in some way. Like, please. Oh my gosh, that's so true. It's and so funny. And I think, as you said, people get really nervous of being misunderstood, right?
Yeah, I think
And
it's a misunderstanding. And I also feel like at a certain point, you have to decide that that's okay. You have
there,
to decide to be okay with being misunderstood. There's going to be people out there that don't know you personally that think you're just the worst person in the world because they misinterpreted what it is you said.
yes. Yeah.
You have to make peace with that.
Ugh. Exactly. Exactly. So good. So, as I said, Tasha is part of the Embodied Feminine Leadership Revolution event, which is the free event happening March 20th through 27th. And I am so, so excited for it. So if you haven't had the chance, make sure to sign up below. And as we begin to wrap up, is there anything left that you want to share with the audience or anything left, that you feel important, feel is important?
I feel like the one of the reasons why I decided to focus specifically on disruptive messaging, and it's not just about politics, it's
Yeah.
about your values in general, is because I feel like we've gotten to a space in the industry where certain things have become trite. Like everybody uses the same phrases, everybody talks about the same modalities, everybody does the same thing. Like, what's going to distinguish you from the next person? Why should I choose you? Because this person over here has the same expertise you have. She has the same credentials, she has the
Yep.
same training
Yep.
in this XYZ modality that you have. What is going to make me pick you?
Yeah.
And besides you being really good at what you do and you being able to demonstrate that you help clients, etc., do we share the same values? Do we align? Like, would I feel good giving you money?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, am I gonna feel like, okay, I'm helping this person who's gonna then turn around and help the world too,
I love
or am I gonna I'm giving money to somebody who is completely okay with, people losing their rights and all kinds
Yeah.
of other bad shit happening. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I feel like that is going to be one of the things that distinguishes you from everybody else in your market. Especially since there's still a lot of people in the spiritual space who want to be neutral. They want to just be like, I love everybody. I don't want to talk about politics. It's not that important.
Yeah.
I say at least 50% of the
Yes.
especially amongst the white people
Oh yeah.
that are like that. That
Oh
they
yeah.
just don't want to deal with it at all. They just think
Right.
it's divisive, and they, da da
Yeah.
da. I want to just bypass and pretend like everything is not
Uh-huh.
happening. So
Uh,
that you being willing to say something,
yes.
even if your political stance is neutral. Like, I don't like either political party. I think
Yeah.
they both suck. You
Totally.
know what I'm saying? That's still a stance more so
Yes.
than not saying anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. And yeah, it gets to be when we start to see our political views, our morals as
Hmm.
another way to distinguish ourselves, as another, like it is just who we are. And if we're here to share our work and our self-expression, we get to share this as well. So, Tasha, thank you so, so much for being here. Again, if you haven't had the chance, make sure to sign up for the event. Also, make sure to follow Tasha on all of her social medias. They are linked down below and in the show notes. Tasha, thank you so,
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
Oh
for
my goodness.
inviting me.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and make sure to tune in for the next one.